Hello and welcome back to Casual Solo, your least favorite podcast. This is now the title of the series, I guess. Anyway, the strategy on adamants is roughly the same as last time,
Welcome
except
to your
I've kind
first day on
of
the
got it
job.
down to a science.
This is your very own autopilot ship, where you will eat
So
and sleep
first
for
off,
the duration of your
the item
contract.
count in adamants was nerfed. So you wouldn't normally see 21 back in the day. I think it used to be 23. Anyway, that means it's mineshaft. The strategy I'm going to use is going fire, grabbing 1 to 2 halls specifically, then dropping them down into the gorge. If you have a lot of items, you can take some of the less heavy ones to main. Then you'll haul from main, or you'll play into main, then haul from main, and then you'll call it and then you'll go back and collect everything that was in gorge. The idea behind this is that, one, playing through fire is super inefficient because hauling through the tree jump method is super slow now, so it's not worth doing in the long term. So main is pretty much the only good way to haul. And okay, so this cadaver bloom spawning here means that it's deep in fire progress and next to water, so it will almost certainly not be a problem in main, which is great. That's like the best thing I could see here. Anyway, the idea is that main hauls are faster, but they're more risky. So by playing both entrances, I have something I can do when the time is late. So around that 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock when there's a lot of enemies, since the hauling through tree, jump, and that whole side of ship method is very safe, but very slow. I'll have something to do once it's late, like 9 o'clock. I can just haul through that and not worry about spawns. And I'll have somewhat fast hauling in the main method, or going through main. Now what I will say is that this strategy is never going to be better than Adamant's pre-patch, but whatever. I mean, it's not like you can probably find anything that'll make Adamant's better than it was pre-patch. I guess that makes sense. It would be impossible because it just has less items. Anyway. So that's what I'm going to do here. Yeah, so that's the interesting thing about cadaver blooms in this strategy. If they spawn in either entrance, it's really not that bad, because you're playing kind of a split, since you're playing kind of split, it doesn't truthfully matter where cadaver blooms spawn, because if they spawn in main, it's later, so they'll be bigger, obviously, and they can be an issue at that point if they're really on top of the entrance, but then you can just play less through main, and honestly it'll still be early enough, because ideally you'll leave fire at like 10 o'clock, so it should still be early enough that you can kind of play around them, or know that they're there. Point being that you don't play either entrance as much, so they're not as impactful, is the idea. I guess I'm out of stuff to talk about with this strategy. It's fairly cut and dry, but I think it is the best way to play Adamant solo, at least for me. I don't know, maybe there is some insane strategy, but pretty much everything else would require either a lot of use of tree jump, or committing consistently to main entrance, which really doesn't let you haul past a certain time. And the reason why you don't want to haul everything main entrance is because if a giant spawns and it sees you while you're hauling main entrance, it could walk on the bridge, and if the bridge breaks, moving to main is very difficult. So that's why you don't really want to put all your eggs in one basket. Also, if you do play purely main or purely fire, the cadaver blooms will hurt a lot more. Anyway. Leave now, and I'm sorting out items here, so I take 2 somewhat evenly heavy hauls. I actually do this wrong. I should take the yield sign with the bottles first, but it's really not a huge deal. You can see the two one-handeds that I have outside of the bottles actually weigh less together than the yield sign, which is a little funny, but whatever. And then it's just classic Adamance things. I think you get to see pretty much all the strategies in this day. I think I make good use of pretty much everything. I will say, I guess the exception of the broken jump, the broken bridge jump from fire. But that's not as big of a thing, and I'm sure there's maybe like 1 or 2 other techs, but I don't know. Speaking of that bridge, the little jump to fire when it's broken, on this patch, it is so much worse than it was previously. On this current patch, I think it's impossible to make the jump with like 30-ish pounds, just because of the height difference and stuff, and also the jump itself is much more awkward. So, I mean, even that jump is just so much worse than it was pre-patch. And here I go complaining about pre-patch, or version 80, which was however long ago. I think almost 3 months at this point, probably a little more than 3 months. And apparently I'm still mad about what they did to Adamance. I'm okay with the inside changes, maybe minus cadaver blooms, but the outside was so bad. Speaking of that kind of stuff, I looked back and I actually only started doing post-commentary around Casual Solo Part 60, so it actually I haven't been doing this for as long as I thought. I guess that is a long time, but it's not a lot of videos. Anyway, I just thought that was an interesting detail. The other thing I wanted to mention is kind of in the same vein as Adamance getting its outside reworked, I think, twice. Like, in the last 2 updates, it's been reworked in both of them, which is kind of ridiculous. The first time it survived and looked better, and then the second time this happened. But I didn't see Zeekerss put up some stuff on his Patreon a long time ago about offense changing its exterior, and that was interesting to say the least. I'm very worried. It's gonna be really funny, because he also said stuff about interior changes. It's going to be very, very funny if we have version 73. Offense sucks, like it has pre-patched all the way back to its release. I think. I'm not super into the version 40 meta, but it's pretty much sucked the whole time it's existed. Version 80. Offense is good. It's actually one of the best moons. And then version 85. Offense got outside changes and inside changes, and now it sucks again. That would be very funny and very ironic. And I think I might have to make a video if that happens. It's like, why we think offense is terrible again. I don't know. I think it would be funny. I really hope he doesn't gut offense after buffing it like he did. And sometimes the gutting is unintentional. I drop items there because I'm almost never going to be able to drop more than 1 up at a time for this tree jump, because it's harder. Anyway, I really hope he doesn't gut offense after it being good for a single update. And I don't think he would want to gut it on purpose. With reworks like this, there's also always the chance that the map gets better too. But it's been a long time since we've seen something like that. And honestly, I don't think we've seen many outside, if any, outside reworks that make the map stronger. March got worse. Vow hasn't been reworked. Adamance got worse. Offense hasn't been reworked. Assurance hasn't been reworked. Experimentation hasn't been reworked. Dying got reworked very slightly and largely back in the day, but I'd never played Undyne, so I don't, and it was really bad anyway, so I don't think anything really changed with that rework there, with the old layout. Titans never changed, and Embryon and Artifice never changed. So, of the reworked moons, I don't think any of them have ever gotten stronger. We could break that trend though. If offense gets a bunch of tech like old adamants, it could be really nice, and if the inside changes aren't bad, we'll take it. What I would really like to see though is instead of making changes to offense and March and blah blah blah, add new moons, just add them as new moons. I mean, March is so fundamentally different, just a visual upgrade and then add it as a new moon. Whatever. See ya.